This is the Nico Lagan Show. Frankly, motivation is bullshit. What you need is discipline, and your mindset is the difference between success and failure. Warning. Warning. This show contains explicit content. Listener discretion is advised. Real, raw, and shooting you straight. This is the Nico Lagan Show. And now your host, Nico.
Welcome. Good afternoon, good day, good night. I got the fucking pleasure to be sitting with yet one of the most dangerous person I know, but one of the kindest person I know. It's quite a dilemma. It's not a dilemma. That's how every man should be, if you ask me. But I got a pleasure to be with Randy Turner. What's going on, brother?
Not so much, bro. It's good to see you again. Thanks again for setting this up, man. And just like the last time we did this, I'm really looking forward to having the discussion. I know it's probably going to go, a variety of different ways, but it's all good, man. So it's good to see you again.
So tell for the people that don't know you, what do you do, why you do it? Who are you, what do you do, and why the hell you do it?
Sure. So my name's Randy Turner. I'm the owner, operations and head coach for Direct Action. Direct Action Combat Performance is a business essentially to help harden citizens of this country. And what I mean by that is, providing services that will help people from everything mental and physical resiliency and toughness and robustness. Firearms training for not just the general public, but military and law enforcement. We focus on nutrition, components of what to put in our body so we can perform optimally. And it's a holistic approach to being able to not only defend ourselves, but to be an asset to our society and not a liability. So, teaching people how to use a blade, how to defend against a blade, how to use a blunt object, how to defend against a blunt object, flexible tools, and firearms training. So a lot of what I do is for military and law enforcement, but I also have a strong following with general public who are interested in just, becoming a harder citizen.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but you were in JTF2 for 18 years, something ridiculous like that?
So I did 21 years in the Canadian Armed Forces, and then 16 of those 21 years was with JTF2. So I was an assaulter there for from 2004 until retirement in 2019. So
for the people that don't know, what's JTF2?
JTF2 is an elite special forces organization here in Canada. It's referred to as a tier 1 organization. So everything from counterterrorism, hostage rescue, direct action missions, special missions unit is what it essentially is. So for people that are unfamiliar, it would be, the equivalent of, and I don't mind saying this because I had the great opportunity to work with these organizations, but SEAL Team 6 is an organization that a lot of people hear about. There's movies, there's books.
Yep.
I had the great opportunity to work with some of those guys. 22 SAS in the UK, same thing. They have a great history, a great rapport, and we had the great opportunity to work with these organizations. Delta Force in the States. So I only share some of those names, not to look at him, but just to give people an idea. These were the types of people that we were working with. This was the type of platform that I did for, I was so fortunate to do for 16 years.
I think that most Canadians don't even know that exists.
I believe you're right.
Yeah, because until 2 or 3 years ago, and I come from a full, my dad was a colonel in the army, my mom's a captain.
Yep.
And I didn't even know that JTF2 actually existed. So until you and I spoke a few years back, I have so much respect for what you do. It's for the people that don't know you, one thing that I find absolutely extraordinary is that we've had conversation off microphone of what you've done, which has no place to be spoken here, but you're one of the hardest motherfuckers I know, but yet you're one of the kindest guys I know too.
Well, I appreciate that, and that means a lot.
Yeah.
And I try, and not try, I live it. I try to be the example for others to aspire, inspire others.
Yeah.
Right? So you're right. I'm confident in my skill sets. I know what I'm capable of, but I'm also a firm believer that you can be a good person. You can treat people with respect, knowing that if things were to go sideways,
Yep.
I have an answer to a potential problem that I'm prepared for.
So would you say that a good man is a dangerous one?
I think a good man with adequate skills and proficiency of specific skills can be a very dangerous man. Yes.
Would you also say that a good man not only doesn't need to be trained, be dangerous, be capable of... I strongly believe that a good man is capable of atrocities. They're capable of doing things that are very, very bad, but they don't because they have it under control, because they know who they are, they know what they are,
Yeah.
and they have that monster on a leash.
I think that's a great way to put it. Controlled emotion, controlled use of aggression, intelligence, human connection is a big deal. Social intelligence is a big deal. Emotional intelligence to me is probably the most important thing a man can harness. If he understands the situation, can harness his emotions to make a wise decision, you have a very capable and a very dangerous individual.
So obviously, if you do what you do right now, it's because you think, or you've noticed, or you believe that there are a lot of weak men. Because we'll say there's a lot of weak women too, but
Yeah.
I want to speak to men.
Sure.
So there's a lot of weak men out there. There's a lot of feminine men. And when I say feminine, I'm not saying that if you are feminine more feminine by nature, there's more feminine men like there's more manly women. If you're but if you're living your true nature and it turns out that you're more feminine, that's not what I'm saying.
Sure.
But there's a lot of pussies out there. There's a lot of men that believe that our masculinity is toxic, which is, to me, this blows my mind. This wants me to fucking jump off the wall. Like, it makes no sense to me that I'm believed and you're believed to be toxic.
I agree that is a problem, and it's a societal thing. Blame social media, blame whoever you want, but I agree with you. That is a problem where, look at it like this. A man is a man, and if an individual is filled with testosterone, this is a good thing.
Yep.
If we had every single human being that was walking this earth, that we were sharing this earth with, that was loaded with testosterone, we would have a lot of problems.
Yep.
And if you were to flip that on the coin, and we have every single person walking through the society that is weak, soft, and feminine, for lack of better terms, we would have a boatload of problems. Mm-hmm. The reason that I say that is, if you want a warrior and you need a warrior, you need a man who is capable and he's driven with testosterone to be that warrior. That means that individual, if he's a warrior, you promote that, you enhance that, you celebrate that, you share that, because if you need that man in a time of legitimate concern, that's the person you want to make the call. That's the person you want to respond to the call. Now, flip that on the head, for example. I'm well aware of what I'm capable of. I'm well aware of who I am. I am not the guy that you would want teaching a kindergarten class, right? I'm not the guy that you would want in front of those kids because I'm not a fit for that environment. There are people who are exactly designed for that, and they should be celebrated. We should not, in my opinion, suppress or in any negative light shed upon guys who are men and who are aggressive and who are capable. In my opinion, society is trying their damnedest for whatever reason to suppress that shit, and that's a problem.
There was a studies that came out a couple of years ago, and they were showing how they were talking about how at the University of Ottawa, if I'm not mistaken, is what they were basing it on, but 70% of people graduating in engineering were men. So people are like, this is an outrage, this makes no sense, we should have 50-50. But on the flip side, 70% to 80% of people that graduated in medicine were women. And I'm looking at this, and to me, it makes perfect sense. We as a man have more an analytic mind. We look at something, we want to understand how it works, and especially how to fix it if it goes wrong. Women, on the other hand, are more empathic. They're more emotional. They're more loving. They're more caring. They're normally... Think about it. You have to carry something within your stomach for 9 months, and when it rips your rips you
Yes.
down there and comes out, you want to take care of it even when it screams.
Yes.
You have to be very empathic.
Yes.
This is not a job for men. And I'm sorry to say, yes, we can help, but not to a point. A mother is better at caring. A man is better at solving.
Yeah. And you know, and to highlight that point or to add to it, you know, men, women were different, and different is a good thing. It should not have a negative connotation.
It is a very good. Why the fuck would I be with somebody that's exactly like me?
Right.
Why?
Right. Yeah. So, like, why is it that we put, as a society, we put so much pressure on ourselves, I guess, if you will, to title everything? Why does everything have to have a title? Well, that's a man's job. That's a woman's job. Squash that. There are certain jobs that are, like you just highlighted, populated heavily by females or by males.
Yep.
That's just the reality based on our DNA makeup and the way that we are driven as human beings. That doesn't have to have a negative connotation. It shouldn't have a negative connotation. If people are worried about the numbers, well, we need, 10 women to be police officers. Well, if you only have 30 recruits and there's only 5 females who are interested in being a police officer, why are you pushing for a fictitious number of 10 when only 5 may be interested? And of those 5, maybe 2 might be legitimately qualified, right? But like this whole, well, we need equal part and we're all the same. No, we're not. Stop it. We're not all the same.
No.
And I think that narrative needs to be squashed, and people like you and I, and right before we started all this, we just had a great conversation about being able to push back. Now, not being disrespectful towards pushing back, but being able to articulate, hey man, I disagree with you for the following reasons. We can agree to disagree if you will, but it doesn't negate the fact that we are talking about 2 completely different things. What you're saying is, and I'm using this as general terms, for example, is what you're saying is you want 50% man and 50% women to do the same job. That is not reality.
No.
So stop pushing for something that is, maybe on paper it looks good, or maybe you're worried about your legacy, or you're the one that's responsible for creating an environment that's 50-50. Well, that doesn't necessarily, that's going to be the adequate solution to the problem.
It amazes me that this is even a conversation that we need to have.
Yeah. Well, it's tough to get away from it, isn't it? Like, it's everywhere.
Nowadays, yes. Yeah. Like 20 years ago, I wouldn't have believed, if you told me when I was 20 that men were becoming women and women were becoming men, and
never would have believed it.
I wouldn't have believed it either. I wouldn't have. There's no fucking way in hell when I was 20 I would have believed that I had to explain what a man is and what a woman is. Blows my fucking mind. Blows my mind.
I don't watch the news. I don't listen to the news. I don't read the news by choice. And that's by choice, because 90% of it is bullshit.
And it's better for your own sanity.
Ah, man. But I will share this story with you. You'll find it amusing. So I got a little bit pissed off watching it, and I'll explain why. So there was a situation out in the East Coast somewhere where there's a young girl, man, boy, who did the transition. Now a girl was a boy up until last year or whatever.
Now
a female.
Okay.
Yeah, now a female. But was born a boy.
Okay.
And through some years decided that, no, I don't want to be a boy. I'm choosing to be, okay. So we're saying that you have the right to do that, right?
I don't care.
Yeah, sure. Okay, you have the right to do that. We also have the right to make our decisions and our choices. The reason that I got so pissed off about it is because in the middle of a pandemic, when things are really serious and everybody need to get vaccinated, this made news. This was on the news. And I happened to just wherever I was watching it. I'm like, I cannot believe, I'm watching this.
Yeah.
I cannot believe this is a story when things are really bad right now and people are dying because of this COVID nonsense.
If you're just listening to this, he's being very fucking sarcastic right now.
So as I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, cool. You want to be a female, and and the mom and dad
cares?
That was my point.
Who the fuck cares?
Who cares, man? Why is this being celebrated? Why is this on the news? Like, okay, so you're now a female. Whatever.
Nobody cares.
No, get on with life. Like, There's
don't
other
care.
things way more important than
You're in the
you.
middle of pandemic,
Yeah.
and they're telling us we need to mandatorily get vaccinated. And the best story you can come up with
Yeah.
is a boy now female.
Right. So I had a problem with that, and I remember being like fucking pretty fired up. I'm like, how is this even a thing? Why is this even a story? Why is anybody even talking about this? Who cares? Like, this, fuck off.
But this is the world we live in. You said it earlier. We have to label everything. We need to make sure that everybody understands those labels. And somehow that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm blown. Like, mentally, I'm fucking blown. I don't understand the people that are in power now. I don't understand the voters. I don't understand most of society. I've learned over the past 2 years that people talk a lot, but they don't follow through. They don't do what they say. They just say to talk. They just water cooler talk, like you said.
Yeah.
I don't remember if we were recording or not when we were talking about this.
Yeah. So like actually, yeah, we'll talk about that. So how many people have you seen, or how many people have you heard about, or maybe we've even fallen victim to it? Where you're having that water cooler conversation is what I like to call it. Where we're having a great discussion. It's around the water cooler in the office or whatever. But then the moment an individual, we'll call him the boss, right?
Yeah.
The person of influence shows up, then the conversation gets quiet. Or even stops completely.
Yep.
Why? Why is it? Why are people so afraid of what the boss might think? If you truly believe in a certain thing, so much so that you're sharing it during a water cooler conversation, then don't you think it would be a good idea to share that with the boss? The person that's in an influential position to make changes, share that with them. Say, hey, these are legitimate ground truth issues that we're talking about right now, and you're in a position of influence. This is in your wheelhouse to help make changes. In certain positions of leadership, people work their entire career to get into that position. And then once they get there, they coast.
Yep.
They coast. Now, you've worked your entire career to get there. Now it's time for you to actually go to work and start making changes and start influencing the change that you want to see. So it goes both ways. We as a society that have the water cooler conversations really quiet, we need to get louder.
Yep.
We need to speak up about that stuff. And then those who are in those positions of influence, you're working for everybody else. Don't ever forget that. You're working for the people that are actually doing the job. So it's up to you as a legitimate leader to implement some of those changes that the majority want. And I truly believe that's what separates a good leader and one that's not quite there yet.
But I think that you're talking about politics and politicians, but at this point, unfortunately, I don't think there's such a thing as a good politician. I don't care. Point me anybody, I'll point you a fucking liar. I'll point you somebody that's there for its own good. They want something for themselves. They don't really give a fuck about the people.
I agree, and here's the problem, and I think I have a solution to it. So I agree with you.
Yep.
Certain politicians, whether it's municipal, provincial, or federal, speak a narrative and act very, very differently. And part of the reason that I put the thought into naming the company Direct Action, it's about taking action. You can talk, but unless you actually take action, nothing gets done. And here's the thing. If you're in a position of leadership, provincial, municipal, federal government, senior military leadership, it does not matter. You're in a position to make change, right? Now, how do you garnish trust from the people that you're trying to make changes for? Well, if you ask the question from taxpayers, we'll say, right? So if you're asking the question and you really listen to what the answers are, and then you implement a change to represent the people, that's how you garnish trust. People will start to trust you. Right now, nobody trusts municipal government, nobody trusts provincial or federal because it's all been a series of convoluted lies or misdirection from what they want as their own agenda versus what the people want. Now, flip that on its head. Instead of just pointing the finger at all of the flaws in the leadership that we're currently dealing with, part of that is on us as a society. It's our obligation to vote. As a Canadian, it's your obligation to get off your fat fucking ass and go in and vote. If you don't like what you see, it's up to us to change it. And if you don't go vote, you're part of the problem. Right? So it goes both ways. And, for those folks out there who are tiptoeing through the tulips with all this bullshit that we're dealing with, and they shrug their shoulders and blow fish kisses and say, well, it is what it is. It doesn't have to be that way. But we, as good Canadians that are willing to fight, we have to speak up. In those water cooler conversations, we need to get louder. And we need to get the attention of the people who are going to make those changes. And then not just point out the problems. That's fucked. Okay, great, man. Right. So you're really good at highlighting the negative. What is your solution? Right? That's fucked. Check. I agree with you. What would you put forward as a solution? Now we're going to start to work together to actually get somewhere. Otherwise, we're just pointing the finger, talking about all the flaws that are backwards, but not creating any tangible, reliable solutions that can make this place a little bit better.
What do you suggest, since we're on the subject, what do you suggest that is a possibility or a solution for the issue with politics right now that we're seeing? And I'm not talking about what's coming out of their mouths, because to me, there's no conservative party in Canada. Since Stephen Harper, there hasn't been a conservative in Canada. Everything is left. We're all in left ideology, and we're left and right of the left ideology. Our conservatives are not real conservatives anymore.
Sure.
We don't have... I'm a centrist. I'm neither a liberal or a conservative.
Yeah.
I'm more what you call a libertarian. The flag that says "Don't tread on me," that's how I live. This is where my body ends. Mm-hmm. What you do with yourself, I could not care less, but leave me the fuck alone. Yeah. Leave. What I want to do will not have an impact on you, and I'll make sure to be respectful. But fuck off. I don't care what you think about what I'm doing, nor you could hate me all you want, but that shouldn't mean I can't do it because you don't agree with it. If I'm not hurting anybody and I'm doing me, fuck off. This is where I stand. But I was a very political person, but over the past few years, I'm looking at the political spectrum, or the political landscape, should I say, and it's fucked. Everybody out there, like even Poliev, which is, I like Poliev when he first started, like years and years ago, before he was popular. I liked him. I liked the way he talked, but he was full of shit during the pandemic. When the truckers were in Ottawa, he was a little bitch, and he didn't do shit about it. He didn't speak up. He didn't go against the government. He tiptoed around because he didn't want to piss off people. Now he's in power, and he thinks that we don't remember that. Yeah. We have nobody right now in Canada except, you know what, Maxime Bernier. Like him or not, he's the only one that had balls from the beginning. Don't like him as a person? No problem. At every single time, he never changed his narrative. He said, fuck the Liberals, there's something fucking wrong with you people. Same, he left the Conservative when he should have won because he knew the party was fucked. So how do you explain, what do you suggest we can do in a situation where the political choices are not there? Like I'd vote for a guy like you. I'd vote for ex-military guy that understands what needs to get done and how to do it. I'd fucking vote for a guy like you. But where do we find a guy like you in politics right now?
It's interesting you bring that up. So
are you going in politics?
No, I'm not. But this is a worthwhile conversation. So. Yeah. I'm not getting into politics, and
that's a shame.
During the pandemic, I was solicited twice. Once by a Liberal member, and then once by
Randy the Liberal. I'm sorry, bro. That's funny.
And I had a cup of coffee with these two representatives from these two parties, and they're trying to get a feel.
They're trying to gauge you where you're at.
Yeah, we'll see where the temperature's at.
Fuck, man, how did that go? That is a very interesting story.
So the first one was with a Liberal. I had a cup of coffee with him, shared some views, and then as the conversation had come to a close, there were some things that were said that I strongly disagreed with, and one was, for an example, the support that Prime Minister Trudeau shared towards the military, and I, of course, recently out of the uniform, I said I disagree with you wholeheartedly. I have not seen any support for our military members, and so we had a strong disagreement there, but that's fine. He's just sharing his point of view, and I'm sharing mine. And when I summed that, or when that conversation was summed up, the narrative was, I'd spoken about how proud I am of doing what I'm doing. It gives me purpose, and I wake up every morning, I'm excited to do my job and help, one Canadian at a time. I'm helping them, just become a better version of themselves, and it gives me purpose. And as the conversation ended, he had said something along the lines, I'm paraphrasing, but something along the lines, it's good that you found your purpose. He's like, but know that you can be doing so much more. And I thought, well, we can all be doing a little bit more, including you.
My thought exactly.
Including you, right? So that's how that conversation ended. And then this one you'll enjoy. So the conservative
was no better, was it?
No, a little bit different angle.
Yeah.
I politely said, thanks, I'm not interested in getting into politics. And he said, he actually called me out on it. He's like, see? He's like, you're part of the problem. I was like, excuse me?
Okay, good for you.
Yeah, I'm like, excuse me? And he said, yeah. He said, you're part of the problem. He said, we need guys like you that are, well-spoken. You can articulate your thought. You've been through a lot. You have a lot of experiences.
Yep,
and
I agree.
you can bring that forward. And I said, you know what? You're onto something. I don't.
First, fuck off. But two, you're right.
Yeah, but he was right. And I respect his take on it. But here's the thing. I know what I'm like. I understand enough about politics to realize that if a guy like me were to get involved with politics, I would make one or two people feel insecure or maybe expose some limitations, and I would get boxed up because I would be seen as a threat, right? If I'm not towing the party line or drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak, I would be seen as a threat, and then I would get boxed up. And I'll be completely honest with you, I don't have a flawless background, if you will. I've been in trouble. I've made some decisions that have been poor decisions, but because of those things, I am the character that you see today. Mm-hmm. Had I not made those grievous mistakes, I wouldn't be the character that I am today. So where I'm going with that is all it would take would be one hard conversation or a hard disagreement. And if I was able to articulate, a particular, segment of whatever that conversation, the moment that I made somebody feel insecure, they would be the snake in the grass that I'm trying to fight against. Find things that are dirty and dark and should be just tucked away, and that would be brought to the surface because they would try to, box me up. And I'm not willing to put my family through that. And I know what type of person I am and what I'm capable of, and it wouldn't be good for anybody. So that's why I chose not to get involved in politics.
You know what, though? I do agree with the conservative representative that you're part of the problem if you don't want to do it. I would go even further to say that I've made mistakes. Everybody's made mistakes. If you're going to tell me that you've never, I will be looking at a liar.
Yeah.
If you can't accept that you made those mistakes, that's your problem, and stay away from helping people. But the thing is, though, how refreshing would it be to see a politician come out and say, I've made mistakes. This is my laundry list of some of the mistakes that I've made. I'm telling you right away because my opposition will try to slander me.
Fair.
Because I will shock you. I will piss people off.
Yep.
But that's the whole point. That's what we need as a society, are people that are ready not to be tiptoeing.
Yes.
My whole idea pisses off people. Yeah. My point of view on 90% of subjects, the average person will not be in agreement with me. But what's even worse is that they can't argue what I'm saying because they do not have the facts. They believe in feelings.
Yeah.
They believe, unfortunately, right now, if you look at politics, we're playing the feeling game.
Yep.
Facts don't matter anymore. All that matters is how it makes you feel.
Yep.
The T-shirt I was wearing before I came here, I changed it, but it said "fuck your feelings," and this is I created a T-shirt. This is one of my favorite ones, and you should see the looks that I get when I walk around with it. I fucking love it. But I don't care about your feelings. I care about facts. I don't care how they make you feel. Feelings are relevant to one single person. It's you, and I don't care. I don't go around trying to piss off people.
Right.
But if my actions and the way I see the world pisses you off, either sit down with me and I'll explain to you why, or go fuck yourself. I don't care.
Yeah, you know what?
But we need that in politics, is what I'm saying. I want to go in politics eventually.
Do you?
But fuck yeah, yeah. If I'll get demolished by people, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. But I know there are people like you and I out there that will understand that I've made mistakes. I'm a human. I'll make more mistakes. I'm sure that put me enough in front of a camera. I'll say stupid shit sometimes. I won't be able. I swear a lot because I'm very emotional. I'm very passionate about this shit. But I think it's needed.
Yeah.
Instead of having people trying to hide who they truly are, being hypocrites, how refreshing would it be to have a group of people that would just simply show up, be themselves, explain their when the truckers were in Ottawa, did you listen to the leaders of the truckers?
No, well,
they're,
yeah, a little
they're
bit,
ex-military.
Yeah.
They knew how to speak, they spoke very well, and their ideas were put into words. However you feel about what they did, I was in agreement with what they did.
Yeah.
I will not I went there the first weekend. I came down from I drove the 4.5 hours that it took to get there, and I simply went there as a spectator.
Yeah.
No preconceived idea. I wanted to see what it was, not what the news would tell me it
100%.
was. I saw those signs, those Nazi signs,
Yeah.
and those fucking snakes that are working for the news. It's bullshit. They were calling our government Nazis, you fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Not other people. They were calling you news people, politicians, and especially Trudeau. The signs were for you.
Yeah.
They were for you fucking cunts, and they turned it into, those guys are racist, those guys are bad, those guys, fuck off.
Oh, man.
I was there, and all I saw is black people, Asian people, white people. There were native people that were there.
Yeah.
Everybody was singing, we're hugging each other.
Yeah.
It was like a massive party.
Yeah. Yeah,
But the news made it sound like
the narrative was very different. Yes.
We were all Nazis. We were all hateful. We were all about racism. Like,
Yep. No, the narrative got very twisted, and the message, unfortunately, took a negative twist, and it was never the intention. And good on you, because there are a lot of people out there that were probably in support, either overtly they were supportive, or quietly, quiet water cooler conversations supporting. Yep. But what's different between you, as an example, and some of those others who we share a society with, you were willing to go down and see for it yourself. Right?
I don't need other people to tell me how to think. I can see it for myself.
Right. Critical thinkers will do stuff like that. I'm gonna find the information out myself.
Yep.
I'm not gonna listen to whatever mainstream news feed is on. I'm like, I guess that's the way it is. No, think for yourself and actually do some research. And that's the difference between a fighter and we'll say it, a contender or an amateur.
Yep.
You know? And we need more of that. We do. We need more people to push back, speak up. And if you have a strong view about something, know that, yes, not everybody's going to agree with it. That's okay. Yes, you may piss people off along the way. But to your point, less about the worry about hurting somebody's feelings, but articulate the facts.
Yep.
Most importantly, with the facts that we have, with the amount of information that we have is sometimes overwhelming, but the facts, what logically can we put into place to create a solution? And to go back to the original question with the issues with politics, I don't think it's a liberal problem or an NDP problem or a conservative problem. I think it's a people problem. I think it's a societal thing where we as a society need to think a little bit more open-minded about diversity and inclusion. I'm not talking about, whites and blacks and males and females. Diversity and inclusion, what I'm talking about is be open to the fact that, Nick, you may think very differently than me about how we would hang that heavy bag up.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, if the fucking heavy bag gets hung up, did we succeed?
Yes.
Right. That's my point. Be open to the fact that you have a solution to the problem. I need to be open enough to listen to it. You need to be open enough to hear what I have to say. Collectively, we work together, and lo and behold, the heavy bag is now hanging.
But it doesn't work that way anymore, because if I feel that your way is wrong, it's automatically wrong. I don't care about the facts. And this is, we're pandering to that too. And it all stems down from participation fucking medals.
Yes.
Telling people that they're special. I'm sorry, man. If you're out there, 99% chances you're not fucking special. Yeah. There are special people out there. Sure. Very far in between, though. Yeah. Very few and very far in between. And it's okay. The thing is you're not special. Let me be clear. We all have a way to shine that's proper to us.
Yes.
Only a fraction of the people have the balls to go after.
Yes.
and do not believe that you are special for existing.
Yeah, I agree.
This is how I should say it. I'll rephrase it this way.
Yeah.
You are not fucking special because you were born, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You're special because you thrive, you have the discipline, you have the drive to become the person that you know you should be. But by default for showing up, that does not make you fucking special.
I agree 100%. And if I could, if I had the time and the resources and the ability, I would literally go from coast to coast in Canada, and I would talk to every grade schooler between the ages of probably 5 and 8 years old. And I would start young and influential ages. I'd walk into every class and say, listen, little Johnny, listen, little Susie, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do? I want to be an architect. I want to be a doctor. Awesome. You can do that. You can do that. And there are outlets in place that will help you get there.
Yep.
But here's the reality. You need to work for it. You need to come up with a plan. You need to own it. When you make mistakes, you need to own those mistakes, learn from it, and know that you're competing. You're competing with other little Johnnies and little Susies that are out there. And these folks all have something special to offer. Everybody has something special to offer. But who's willing to work for it?
Yep.
Who's willing to go the extra mile? Who's willing to do just a little bit more? And that's the reality. Like, to your point, 100%. You don't just get a medal for showing up. Sorry. No, you don't. Where, I've heard of, recreational soccer and, sports, youth sports and stuff.
Oh, they don't count scores anymore?
Yeah. They don't.
Motherfucker, is that stupid.
And here's the thing. So we, we'll say the influencers, we're saying we're not keeping score anymore. If you were to ask 90% of those kids, they know what score it is.
Yeah.
Because we're competitive by nature. We want to compete. We want to know what the score is. You ask any one of those kids that are whatever, U12 soccer, we don't keep score. Okay. Hey, by the way, we're going into the second half. There's, 40 minutes left. What's the score? Oh, it's 3-2. They keep score.
Of course they do.
So why are we trying to really influence such a nonsensical way of looking at life? Life is a competition. If we want that job, you got to work for it. You want that position, you got to work for it. And there's no shortcut.
No, it's because we don't want our feelings to be hurt.
Well,
we don't want, as a society, we want safe space.
Yeah.
We want to feel safe, a safe space. What type of baloney is that? A safe space. You need somewhere so that you can be a little bitch, basically, is what I'm hearing. And you don't want to be challenged. Yeah. You don't want your feelings to be hurt. You want to be right. So you basically are allowing society to become lazy, to become fat, to become stupid. If you take competition out of everything, if you take responsibility for competing, because it is a responsibility.
Yep.
If you want to thrive, you will have to fucking compete. You cannot, I agree, you cannot take competition out of people. It's there. It's fucking there. Some more than others. But at one point, when do we say that all this nonsense is enough? This is what keeps me up at night. This is what I ponder all the time. We know what the problems are. You and I are not the first people to talk about that, and we're definitely not going to be the last. But what the fuck do we do from here? What are the solutions that need to happen in order for Canada? But let's talk about the U.S. too. Let's touch the U.S. on that one too, because they're very fucking close to us. Well, there's a lot of crap that's going down to the U.S. right now, where more and more it's starting to look at Canadian way of being soft.
Yeah.
Americans too are getting soft. So what do you suggest? What do you do in a situation like the one we're living today, where society's soft, our government knows it, and they're taking advantage of it? They're treating us like idiots. They're taking our firearms away.
Yeah.
They're basically, for 2.5 years, you can train, you can go to the gym. They encourage people to get fat in order to put a vaccine in their body. So explain to me what we're supposed to do right now in order to make shit better, because we all know our country here is going down the drain.
Yeah, that's a great question, and we need strength in numbers. We need more people like you and I to be more overt about having these conversations, and know that we're probably gonna piss a few people off along the way, but that's okay because we have righteous intention. We're trying to do something good. Where if we empower other like-minded folks, share these things, have these conversations and challenge the things that you're hearing. One thing I share with my little girl, she's 12 years old, and I say, Elizabeth, if your teacher says something to you and you don't agree with it, it's okay to challenge it, but be respectful when you do that.
Yeah, agreed.
Right?
I agree.
And ask for an example, or ask for, anything that will help you understand why certain things are being asked of you. And
Agreed.
if you don't agree with it, challenge it. It's okay, but be respectful about it. And I think if we, as I say maybe the smaller percentage of our society right now that are having these conversations and agree with it, we need to be a little bit more overt about it, and be open about the fact that, hey, we don't like the way you don't like the direction that this country is going. What do we do about it? What's the legitimate solution? Well, there's certain people that are in positions of influence, and we need to get rid of them. And we have to say, listen, you know what? You might be a really good drama teacher. You might be a really, really good drama teacher.
I wonder who you're talking about here.
But you're just not a really good leader.
Yep.
And that's okay. That doesn't necessarily make you a bad person. But you should not be in that position, unfortunately. Somebody else should be in that position that has, attributes of a good leader. All right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there are certain people who get into these positions because they're high performers. Just because you're a high performer does not make you a good leader.
Mm-hmm.
So be cautious with who you're promoting into these positions. If they're a high performer, that's a good thing. Embrace that and celebrate that. And that should be acknowledged. I mean, you're doing a good job. Very good. Keep it up. We appreciate you. That needs to be said. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be the next leader. High performer doesn't mean leader. Some people will ask me, well, what do you mean by being a good leader? What does that mean? Man, like, if you as a leader are saying one thing but doing something else, you are falsifying the security that people are looking up to you for.
Yep.
So you're degrading the foundation that we need to build a society on. That is the problem. Okay, so, and I've had these conversations in the past, well, what's the solution? If the collective agree that this person is not suitable for this position, we have to be okay with hurting their feelings. And listen, sir, listen, ma'am. We did our survey. We did an audit, and the results are, it's time for you to move on. There's other things that you are probably going to really excel at, but this one position, unfortunately, it's not for you.
Yeah.
Get over that. That's going to happen. Like, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Do you care about you, or do you care about the society? Well, what can you do to enhance the betterment of our society? And if you're not doing your job, be honest with yourself. But we also have to be honest with the individual. Not tell them what we think they want to hear. Tell them the truth.
But don't you think it goes even further than that? Because look at the political landscape, and look at all the people that are in power. I don't see one single person that I actually agree with, that I can look at and say, you know what? If I was, one of my buddy has, it's hilarious, but he has this idea that he looks at every single person around him and he's like, okay, let's say there was a zombie apocalypse. Would that guy be on my team or not? Is that the type of guy that would help me survive? Is he, would it be better for me to have him with me, or should I not have that guy at all? And that's how he chooses the people around him. And I love it. It's a very funny analogy, but
context is everything, right? So context.
Agreed.
I think, to look at everybody that's walking through this world, and if the zombie apocalypse were to kick off, do we want that person on our team? Maybe we do. Not for their fighting reasons, not for their warrior spirit, but maybe they're very resourceful.
Oh, maybe
right?
They're very intelligent. Maybe they're a doctor. Maybe they're an engineer. Right. Maybe they have a bunch of different qualities. But what I mean is, in a leader, you need somebody that has balls, and not literal balls. A woman can be a leader, but we all understand the fucking expression. Don't fuck with me and look at me. No, fuck off. You know what I mean by having balls. So you need somebody that has balls, that's gonna live what they say, and especially that's ready to do what it fucking takes to get shit done.
That's right.
And unfortunately, I do not see somebody right now in Canada that has the potential to do that.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that the more it continues the way it does right now, the higher chances of it becoming violent. Because at one point, and this is a reality that I'm seeing in the US, because a lot of people don't understand that do you realize the difference between the US and Canada? Why is the US still have firearms? Why they're still more patriotic than Canada? Do you realize where that stems from?
Well, I have a theory where that stems from, but what do you recommend?
We both of us were under the Queen. We were under England.
Yeah.
They won their war. So they're very proud about the fact that they're so proud about being American comes from the fact that they had to fucking fight, die, and succeed in order to become what they are.
Fair.
We lost. So we're very tame as a people. We're very agreeable. Canadians are recognized around the world to be very nice, being very agreeable.
Yes.
Because we're bitches. We got our ass kicked by England. We lost that fucking war. The Americans won it. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depends how you see it, to me, the United States is the last great hope. And the reason I say that is there's patriotic people that are ready to fight for what they believe in. Like what's going on in the US with Biden, it's a matter of time before there's a civil war. Where and careful people from the left, if you're hearing my message, your little bitch cannot fight most conservative, because most conservative are military people that are retired. They know how to fight. They're smart. They understand business, and they know how to kill. They stand no chance. And right now, you're pushing them. Yeah. Right now, it's about you're saying that people like us need to talk more. You're right, but it's not enough. We need to take action, and the more we wait, the more people like us are going to get frustrated, and one day. We're humans. We're emotional. It's going to blow. There's a spark. And I thought the trucker was it. I thought the trucker was going to be a spark that we needed in order to see change. But it wasn't. We're still too soft. So that's why I have hopes on the US. But I don't see anything else. I don't see another solution than for Canada and the US to become violent. That it's going to blow. There's something that's going to happen that's going to force people that are considered more conservative and people that are considered more liberal, and violence is going to have to ensue. Like the liberals are going to push the conservative, and I'm not talking the conservative we're seeing right now. The definition of a conservative, they will push them enough to a point where they'll say no more, and it's going to become violent because they waited for so long, and it's just. You know, when you keep that inside for too long, you're like a bomb and it's going to blow. Yeah,
every man has a limit. And, you know, I never really saw the country so divided as it is today.
I agree.
And it's sad to see. And I've had lots of great conversations with friends that are looking to get out of here, man. They're looking to, you know, set up shop down the States or they're looking to, you know, buy a piece of a plot of land somewhere and just live off the grid. Like they just want to get away from everything. And in one hand, man, I empathize. I understand why everything's so messed up. Why do you want to be here? Why do you want to be part of this mess? I get it. The other side of me, the fighter side of me says, I do not want to let this country go down the toilet, man. So I want to fight as much as I possibly can, figuratively and literally. I am willing to fight for this country, for the betterment of this country. What does that mean? Man, listen, I don't promote violence, but I 100% embrace it. And if things do come to that boiling point, one thing that I'm confident in, I know where I stand and I know what I'm capable of.
And this is the reason why I'm saying that it's going to blow. Is because there are people like you and I that are capable of violence. Let's not lie to each other.
Yeah.
We are capable of great violence, and it doesn't scare me either.
No.
if you tread on me, if you do something that will force me, if you force my hand, I will not go down like a bitch. I will defend myself. And the day that society pushes us to a point where I have to do what it takes to stay alive, or to keep my manlyhood, or to keep my livelihood, however the fuck you want to call it, the day, as you said before the podcast, the day that that it's too much, the day that my limits has been crossed, it'll be too much, and probably violence will ensue.
It'll be a bad day. And I do believe that we are intelligent enough as a society for the ability to avoid that.
I fucking hope so. I really, really hope so.
And then I would caveat that, or in addition to that, is hope is not a legitimate course of action.
No.
We cannot hope the problem is going to go away. We have to do something about it. And I'm trying to do my part with, conversations like this, hardening people when I get a chance to train with them, putting them through, the ringer, making a training scenario as chaotic as possible so they make mistakes, learn to adapt from those mistakes, bounce back, build resiliency. I'm doing what I can. I'm doing my part. But I got to look out there, man, and I got to ask a lot of Canadians, are you doing your part? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you taking care of your family? Are you taking care of your neighbor? Have you checked in with your neighbor lately? And not being that asshole that calls on bylaw because they have 5 vehicles in the driveway during a lockdown bullshit. That you're not being a good neighbor. You're not helping society. You're adding to the complexity of the nonsense that we're all dealing with. So with this message, I would say, be honest with yourself as a good Canadian. If you so choose to call yourself a good Canadian, what are you doing for other Canadians? That's the golden question. What are you doing for others to make this place better? And if you cannot come up with an answer, that's part of the problem, and we can fix that one person at a time.
The thing that worries me is, there's a principle that explains that there's 2 ways that a society can change: top down, bottom up. Mm-hmm. And this is how you can divide political ideologies. Liberals tend to push, to force feed you their ideology. People from the left want a big government, and they want the government to be responsible for telling the people what to do.
Sure.
A more conservative society believes in the right of the individual, and that the society is made up of a bunch of individuals. And if you have good individuals within that society, it will make the top change. Unfortunately, or fortunately, pushing down, forcing people to do something is very fast, but it doesn't last. The only true lasting change is when it comes from the people up. The problem is that it takes time.
It does.
Because I coach people. I can coach people all I want. I can only do so much. Yep. I can only help so many people. You can only help so many people. And it takes time. It's something, when you're changing the core of an individual so that they become better, it's a very long process, and it takes time.
There's been studies.
But right now do you agree that we're running out of time? Like, looking at where we're going, we don't have that much time to a point where Canada will not be Canada anymore.
Yeah, we're running out of time to pivot. We need a pivot for sure.
Oh, fuck
and I agree with you to support the point. Like, there's been studies that indicate from an organizational behavior perspective, it could take 10 years to affect change. Yep. So a decade to instill that change that started, 9 years ago. So you're right. It takes a long time. You know how hard it is to change one thing about ourselves.
Exactly.
How hard it is to change an institutional or a cultural behavior. It's going to take time, and it's going to be a fight. That's part of the problem. People are tired right now. People are just done with fighting. But now more than ever is the time we need to pony up, man. We need to fight harder now than ever before. People are tired. I get it, man. Like, there's just been one nonsense thing after another nonsense thing for us to focus on. Man, we need to be stronger than that. We need to fight now more than ever, in my opinion. And I do believe, I believe in it. I believe, I'm a realist, you know, I'm sure maybe optimistic, but I'm not naive. Like, I do believe, you know, every fight is worth fighting. I do believe it.
You know, for you out there that's listening to this, ask yourself a very honest question. How do you feel about the past 2 years? Be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have to say it out loud, but be honest with yourself. Do you agree with what happened over the past 2 years? Have you lived your conviction? Did you act what you thought? Did you crumble when people told you what to do? Or did you actually live your conviction and risk losing everything? If not, it's okay. Everybody's made mistakes. But you realize that the reason why we're in this mess is because you're not doing what you know is right.
I agree, man. That's a very good message. Yeah.
I want you, this is something I do with my clients all the time. Like, look at yourself in the fucking mirror and be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
You can lie to me all you want and I can see right through you. But don't lie to you. Don't lie to yourself. Yeah. Be honest with yourself. And unless you realize that you are part of the problem, nothing's going to change. And you're right. We got to stop accepting people pushing us because I will accept people to push me because I have a bad temper. I don't have a good temper. I've learned over the years. I'm at my mother's right now, and she was telling my girlfriend how bad of a temper I used to have. And to me, it's funny. I still have a very bad temper. I just learned to control it. But deep down, how many times could I have just, how many times did I feel like, you know what? No, beating somebody to a pulp just because I can and they're pissing me off. I haven't done that in years.
Yeah.
Because I've learned to control it, but it's still there, bro.
Yeah.
It's still there. And if you feel within yourself that is there and we're controlling, but I think this is one of our mistakes that we do as strong men, because I do consider you a strong man. I consider myself a strong man too. We are overly patient. I think we know what we're capable of. That makes us extremely patient. We've learned to control it because we know what we're capable of.
Sure.
But it turns out that we are too careful. I think we become a bit too docile, not even for our own good, just so that portion of ourselves doesn't get out there.
Yeah.
But I think it's needed right now. I think
agree,
the dog needs to bite.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to put it. I agree with you. I agree with you. It's troublesome times, man, for sure. But like we were talking about before the cameras started to roll, it's in these times that the strong will persevere. So we'll know if the boiling point. It's a pressure cooker right now. It's a pressure cooker.
Yep.
So if things come to the surface, the strong will survive, and the weak will perish.
It's like we were saying before. One of my favorite sayings: "Hard times create hard men. Hard men create great times. Great times create weak men. Weak men create hard times." And if you've been following, we're at the end of it. We are being led by very weak men, and we're seeing hard times. What would you, because we're coming down, 57 minutes.
Right on.
What would you say as a last word? Is there something, do you want to talk to the people that are listening?
What would I say? I would say endeavor to be a little bit better every week, 1% every week. Endeavor to do something just a little bit more efficient that is either going to benefit your health or help out somebody else. But think big picture stuff, but small bite-sized portions. So small tangible goals, 1% a week. What does that look like for you? Well, that could be different for you than it is for the person beside you. But whatever that is, aim to challenge yourself and look for that 1% improvement every week. That's what I would share with people. Like, that's going to be different for everybody, but You know, some people it may be their physical fitness. Some people it may be a few less beers. It may be, you know, whatever it might be. But there's improvement to be made in all of us. And if we achieve that as a society, we're only going to get better.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for allowing me in your gym. I always appreciate our conversations, man.
Likewise. I really appreciate it. And I can tell you're passionate, man. And you know, I do, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, as genuine as we can be. We need more good men doing good things. And now, more than ever, if you have a voice, use it. Think about the words that we're going to choose. You know, think about what affects. Words have meaning. And when we say and do things, there's consequences.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative. But if we're willing to take a risk, you know, there's something to gain from the potential reward.
Thanks, brother.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Nico Lagan Show. Nico has been involved in the martial arts for 20 years. He's a Muay Thai coach, focus coach, podcaster, and sought-after public speaker. We hope you've enjoyed the show, and we hope you've gotten some useful and practical information. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Coach Nico Lagan and on YouTube at The Nico Lagan Show. See you next time.